Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Good evening. I wrote down some notes on my phone, so I'll be reading from here. My name is Zoe Walters. I'm a school social worker at Smith, a department leader, a Cortland resident, and the mother of 2 Cortland High School graduates. This is my 20th and final year at Cortland City School District. I recently resigned after spending the past 2 years being deeply concerned and saddened by the failure of our district to prioritize our students' social and emotional needs. There's simply no excuse for the fact that we currently have less mental health staff working in our district than we had prior to the pandemic, when we were given millions of dollars in ARPA funds for this purpose, and our staff and building principals have repeatedly asked for more mental health support. Last spring, I attended a presentation of how our district uses ARPA funding, including the hiring of 2 social workers and 1 school counselor in elementary. What was not mentioned is that these positions were not newly created, but existed already in the budget, as these positions were simply being filled after these 3 staff members resigned. Since that time, 4 more mental health professionals have left. Our district's loss of mental health professionals has become a reoccurring problem. As a licensed social worker, I can no longer practice my profession in this district while respecting my professional code of ethics. As a mandated service provider, I'm legally required to provide service to students with IEP and 504 counseling. My mandated caseload is currently up 500% from when I first was hired. Because our rate of classified students has increased and we currently have less school psychologists than we did 3 years ago, I'm the only staff member in our building who sees students for mandated sessions. I have a caseload of 25 mandated students for counseling, have another 8 that I see weekly, and see on average 3 to 4 students each day who are struggling emotionally and asked to talk to me. In addition, I'm often called by the office multiple times per day to deal with students who are oppositional and defiant, as their student aides that once managed conflict and behaviors have been reduced or cut altogether. These students are often physically aggressive, and I'm often dealing with these students alone due to our lack of people available to assist at the time. In these circumstances, I ask the teacher to remove the students and stay in the classroom as the student throws furniture and objects, sometimes in my direction, as I desperately try to diffuse their emotions to avoid physical assault. I often miss my mandated students in these crisis situations, being fully aware that these students look forward to their sessions, as I often may be the only adult in their lives to give them one-on-one attention. My failure to arrive for their session is greatly noticed and damages trust in my relationships with these students. These concerns have been voiced to our district admin on several occasions. It's fallen on deaf ears. Perhaps when comparing counseling service with other related service providers, the mandated caseload is not overwhelming. However, what is not being considered is the fact that in addition to our mandated counseling caseload, we're also expected to be available to the hundreds of other students in our building. A social worker in our district is a related service provider, a crisis support person, a behavior interventionist, the parent and community liaison, and also asked to intervene in matters of poor school attendance. We're conducting suicide assessments on a weekly basis, consulting with CPS about student abuse and neglect multiple times per week. We're setting up meetings at schools with caseworkers, law guardians, and CPS. No one person can do all of this alone. In addition to this, we're now part of a team created to address student behavior and SEL needs with a multi-tiered system of approach. This approach requires data collection and review. As other surrounding districts use the BIMAS as a universal screener to systematically collect and analyze data, our BIMAS trial was abruptly ended by administration without any discussion with the professionals who were planning to use that data to monitor student need and progress. This was not only disrespectful to the staff utilizing this data, but a disservice to the students and families residing in our school district. Our students are suffering and our mental health staff are getting hurt, burning out, and fleeing to districts where there's appropriate staff to meet student needs. Our school district needs to take action in addressing student mental health and social emotional needs by implementing a multidisciplinary team consisting of a social worker, psychologist, and school counselor at each school building to properly provide a multi-system of approach. Implement a universal screener to assess all of our students' SEL functioning in area of need. and increased measures to ensure staff and student safety. We must do better. Alicia, is there your notes?
Yes, Stephanie Garcia would like to speak regarding proposed changes to the junior high.
Good evening. I've taught at the Cortland Junior High School since September of 1993. In the 30 years of my service to the Cortland Enlarged City School District, I have seen many district administrations come and go. Sometimes I have agreed with their initiatives, and sometimes I have not. However, in all of those years, I have never, ever witnessed more damaging proposals than the ones currently on the table for the Cortland Junior High School. For the good of our students, I implore you not to put these proposals into effect. As I understand, these are the three main proposals. 1, reduce the number of junior high teams from 4 to 3. 2, as a result, have larger class sizes with fewer teachers. 3, reduce the number of junior high guidance counselors from 2 to 1. These proposed measures fly in the face of research, experience, and common sense. A position statement on class sizes by the National Council of Teachers of English documents research findings that students in smaller classes score higher on standardized tests, have higher grades, are much more engaged during class, and have fewer discipline issues in school. Moreover, the position statement cites findings that smaller classes lead to improvement in students' future lives. According to the NCT position statement, quote, researchers have found that reducing class size can influence socioeconomic factors, including the earning potential, improved citizenship, and decreased crime and welfare dependence. The beneficial effects of being assigned to a small class also include an increased probability of attending college, close quote. Do we really want to make learning more difficult rather than more beneficial for our students by increasing class size? Do we want to make it harder for the junior high ELA and math teachers to prepare our students for the high-stakes 7th and 8th grade New York State ELA and math assessments? Do we want to send 8th graders to face 9th grade Regents courses after a diminished junior high learning experience? I do not believe so. While the junior high team concept provides essential academic support for students and parent meeting opportunities, we must not underestimate the importance of our junior high guidance counselors. The social and emotional well-being of our junior high students depends on having enough capable professionals to see them through the insecurities of early adolescence, in addition to the hardships created by poverty and dysfunction in some of our local families. My classroom is one door away from the 2 junior high guidance counselors. They are constantly busy attending to the needs of our students. How can taking one of them away help our students at such a vulnerable stage of personal development? If lower enrollment is the driving issue behind these changes, I would again cite the NCTE position statement research, which states, very large class size reductions on the order of magnitude of 7 to 10 fewer students per class can have significant long-term effects on student achievement and other meaningful outcomes, close quote. If the driving issue is only financial, then we should not make our students for the sake of a misguided desire for efficiency. Efficiency does not equal effectiveness. We are dealing with a school, not an industry. Our priority must be our student welfare, not the tax rate. I am a taxpayer in this school district, and as such, I am willing to take a hit to save all of our junior high teams and counseling personnel. Please keep our students' welfare uppermost in your minds as you make decisions that will affect our students' lives and our community for many years to come. And I say this with respect for every person here. Thank you.
Amy Francie Henry regarding more mental health programs in the district.
In March of 2020, we entered into something that no one in the 21st century had ever imagined. Adults were fearful of financial insecurity, not having the basic necessities for their families, and of contracting a horrible illness that didn't discriminate. The fears were not hidden from our children. Nothing in their young lives looked the same as it once had. School was on a small screen, kids didn't get to socialize, and even though the adults tried to hide their fears, our kids sensed them. Our government provided extra funding to the Cortland Enlarged City School District, with the second priority being, quote, to provide social emotional support within a culturally responsive, sustaining framework. According to the ESSER state plan, New York State students have faced extraordinary challenges, including loss of loved ones, isolation, economic stress on their families, disrupted home and school lives, and much more. Adverse childhood experiences and resulting trauma can have a negative impact on young people's social and emotional well-being, physical wellness, mental health, and consequently, their capacity to learn. Students and adults are grappling with new and exacerbated trauma that can have far-reaching impacts on health and educational outcomes, potentially well beyond the pandemic. In addition, anxiety and depression may present or worsen in response to these additional stressors and traumas. The mental health professionals in our district are struggling with meeting that second goal. They feel that there just aren't enough of them to deal with the vast number of challenges. The Cortland United Teachers Union has had numerous conversations with the administration, and last year we met with the school board twice, which resulted in the addition of an administrative intern. This has helped on some level, but it isn't enough. During my conversations with the PPS staff, I have learned that the situation is not much better than it was last year. Students are still acting out. They are throwing chairs, throwing scissors, harming others, running through hallways, screaming, etc. PPS staff members are often called in to help calm the students down. Those students who are acting out are traumatizing other students. They are traumatizing the adults who work for the Cortland district. The best solution that our trained professionals can come up with is that we need you to invest in more human capital. The intern position that was created at Berry, and some of those students who acted out last year at Berry are now at Smith. Social workers and school psychologists have mandated counseling sessions that are often interrupted or cut short so that they can help de-escalate situations. Those staff members don't feel the job satisfaction they once did. They are unable to do the entire job they were once able to do. The low morale is causing our PPS staff to resign at alarming rates. We have lost 7 PPS members in the last year and a half. I know that the budget is a concern. Just last week, we entered a spending freeze. But I also know that hiring young staff is cheaper than the experienced staff members who are leaving Cortland. I understand that you've been cautious about creating extra positions with the ARPA funding for fear of not being able to maintain the positions once the funding is gone. Other districts who are also fearful have hired temporary positions or have hired positions through BOCES. I'm afraid that if the district doesn't do something to help our mental health professionals, more will leave Cortland. I can't begin to imagine what a day in the life of a school guidance counselor, social worker, or psychologist is like, as I don't live in that world. All I can do is listen to what they are saying and empathize with them. They are asking for help. They say they can't do it alone. They have tried, but it's not working. We all know that each and every one of our children is worth it. Please find a way to help them. Our mental health professionals all believe that investing in some additional human capital for a couple of years will help our children get through the mess the pandemic created. Again, I don't live in their world, so I have to believe they know what's best. Thank you for your time, and thank you for considering our ask.
Joshua Michael King, values needs versus expectations.
Joshua Michael King.
King.
Good evening. First of all, I applaud all of this staff that is doing an exceptional job with these young people. I'm Joshua Michael King. I'm new to this community. Myself and my two younger brothers relocated here from Syracuse by way of 4 other school districts. Stepping into this environment, it was very clear to me that the issues that they're talking about are not somehow isolated, they're not unique. This is happening all across our country and in all of the districts that myself and my 2 little brothers have been thrust through. The approach that we're taking with education is outdated and it's insular. This environment does not foster self-guided growth. It does not foster personal development. There's a discrepancy between the high standards of the state and the low expectations of the faculty and staff of these students. You heard what they all had to say. Again, those issues are not unique to this district. Students have a lack of buy-in to things like the Positivity Project, which is left to these guys to have to balance throughout the course of the day while they are attempting to get these children to rise to standards that the expectations will never meet. The curriculum is lazy, it's lackluster, it's uninspired. And I think that that is reflective of people who are tired and burnt out. 1/3 of your staff is leaving by the end of this school year, 1/3. And I have yet to hear from this district about what the actual plan is for recruitment and retention. I have since sent my resume to this district 3 times. I've taught in some of the most challenging schools in our state, and I can't even get a phone call back to come and help you guys or help these guys figure it all out. The students are having to choose. My brothers had to choose between one course or the other because of these standards, again, that are well within their reach and well within their grasp. But as they said, there's no manpower to actually execute it. My 8th grade brother and 9th grade brother share the same Spanish class. Let that sink in. That's 2 classes for 1 teacher. Their math teacher is a long-term substitute, just like me, while she's trying to graduate and earn her certificate. There's a huge discrepancy with the spending. On one hand, US World News reports one figure, but NICED reports something else. This district spends less than any other district in this county, and it's well beneath the average per student for the whole state. With that said, this is a group effort. Again, this is quite inspiring to see all of these faculty and staff taking their night to address you all. Had people been doing things like this in the districts we came from, we wouldn't be here. So you guys deserve way more than you're getting. The students deserve way more than they're getting. And I'll leave you with this. It comes from the book Tribes by Seth Godin. That's something that this board really should invest in and read and reflect upon. But he says that some tribes are stuck. They embrace the status quo and they drown out any members who dare to question authority and the accepted order. Big charities, tiny clubs, struggling corporations, and even this school district are stuck. They create little value and they're sort of boring. Every one of those tribes, though, is a movement just waiting to happen. It's a group of people just waiting to be energized and waiting to be transformed. A movement is thrilling and it's the work of many people, not just the board, not just these teachers, but all of us working together. We're seeking better, and the newly highly leveraged tools that we all have access to provide opportunities and options to create this movement, to make things happen and to get things done. All that's really missing is leadership. I have a book full of solutions and offer them to you. You guys can't keep sitting back and waiting for something to happen, waiting for the federal government or the governor to help. This district really stands in a space where you can set the pace, where you can become the standard, and this district can become the model by which the rest of these districts follow. Thank you.
Could you please repeat the name of the book and the author?
The book is called Tribes by Seth Godin. My name's Joshua Michael King. I'm the owner of Masking and Company. I do consulting, coaching, and creative development. I'm also the founder and CEO of the Academy of Excellence, and we work with professionals on being creative and innovative in the ways that they're delivering their curriculum. Again, you have people in your community who do this work all day, every day. I live, eat, and breathe this stuff.
Well, before we move on behalf of the board, I would truly like to thank you for taking your time this evening and coming to speak with us. I know we all appreciate your time, your effort, your love, and your concern, and thank you so much. Please welcome Nicole Latham to present the Tiger Paw Award.
Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.